team, we have Tori with us again this week, thankfully, to help us out with some back walkovers.
So what we're going to do, we're going to show you guys some drills and some tips to help you guys nail your back walkovers. So for this video, we're assuming that you guys can already do your bridge and comfortably support yourself in a handstand.
If not, keep practicing. Because there's a lot of bending in this video, we want to make sure that we're fully warmed up and that we rest in between the exercises we do today. We'll also show you some recovery stretches that you can do in between exercises to help if you're getting sore.
So you guys can pause this video now and do a general warm up and stretch by yourself, and then join us for a specific back bend routine.
Okay guys, let's get bendy. We're going to start with some squats. 5 times. Hips up in front at the top, keep your shoulders up. Once you've done 5, you're going to stay down, hands to the floor, jump your legs back, and we're going to go to sprawl position, come back in, and squat again. So legs back, sprawl, in, up. Last one. And then we're going down again, jump your legs back, and then we're going to do a full seal. Chest up. We're going to use our shoulders to push down. We're going to do 5 shrugs. Warm up our necks as well, looking up and down. And side to side. And we're going to lift our legs up, trying to touch our head, but we'll just do 1 foot at a time. And switching. And 1 more time each leg. And lying down now, reaching back, grabbing your legs. And you're going to extend your legs a little bit, try to get your chest off the floor. Donut position. 4 and 5, relax. Hands on the floor again, pushing up into your sprawl, and we're going to go hips back, tuck squat, and then you're going to step forward for a lunge, turn your hips sideways, side lunge, then come back, and then back into the tuck squat. And other leg, forward, side, forward, and back. Let's go faster. Last one each leg. And straightening your legs here for downward dog position. We're going to focus on our shoulders first, so really stretching your shoulders. If you need to, you can bend your knees so you get a good shoulder stretch. And now we're going to do calf raises in this position. 5 times. And we're going to lift one leg up and over if you can, opening up your torso and your hips. And swap sides. And both legs back down, walking your feet in. A little bit of a hamstring stretch, so front leg straight. Pushing your heel into the floor. And swap sides. And let's get into it. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail about how to stretch a bridge, because it's probably one of the most important things for your back walkover. So starting with just a bridge hold. What you're aiming to do for your bridge is you're looking at your hands, your arms are nice and strong, and your shoulders, you're trying to push them over your hands in this direction. So if you're a little less flexible, you'll find that your shoulders are a little bit here. When you actually do go for your walkover later, it's going to make it harder if you can't get your shoulders over your hands. If you are a little bit limited in your shoulder flexibility, make sure you really warm up your wrist, because the angle here on your wrist can be a bit harsh on your wrists, and that you're trying to push legs straight, hips up, and covering your ears with your shoulders. Now, after you come down, some things you can do in between your exercises. First one we'll do is just tuck rocks. So you're stretching your back the other direction. We can do 5 to 10 here, and then we'll move on to our next variation. So first variation we're going to do are bridge rocks. So when you're in your bridge position, You're going to rock forward and back, and the focus for back walkover in particular is that you're pushing your shoulders over your hands and looking at your hands the whole time. Good, and once you've done 5 of these at a time, this time when we do our recovery, we're going to do an angry cat position. So rocking over and really trying to get that round back. Next variation we have for you guys is to step in your bridge position. So once you're in bridge, you can either step with your hands or step with your legs as well, just to try and increase the amount of support you have while in this position. If you want to work on your coordination a little bit more while upside down, you can try walk forwards or backwards while in bridge. And you can also try walk around in a full circle as well. Didn't mention this before, but all these variations that you guys can do, maybe just try to do a couple of these at a time. Don't try to work through the whole load of variations in one session. So our last bridge variation is going to be kicks while in bridge. And you can do 5 each leg for this one. Some feedback for you guys is when, if you want to see if you are kicking the vertical, if you have someone around, you can try hold your leg up and see if they can balance something soft on your foot. Make sure you're doing something hard in case it falls off and lands on you. So if you can hold that there, that's a good challenge for you guys. And then also, once you get a little bit more advanced for this one, you can try add a hop into the kick as well, which is going to really help your back walkover. So you're kicking and pushing out of the bottom leg at the same time. Another recovery stretch you can do is a spider stretch, so your legs are over your head, and again, stretching that back in the other direction. So we're going to start with our back bend, which makes up the first half of your back walkover. An example of your back bend is you're going to start with legs maybe shoulder width apart, your arms above your head, and as you're bending backwards, you don't want to lean back at all. Your weight staying above your feet the whole time, and your hips even go a little bit forwards as you're going backwards, so that you're staying on your feet for as long as you can in control. Now you need to make sure as you're leaning back, you're leading with your arms, or your fingers are leading as you're bending towards the floor, so your arms are there ready to support yourself and keeping your head as far away from the floor as you can. So first drill we're going to do for back bend is you're going to stand back to the wall. You're just going to lean back a little bit, hands to the wall, push off, and then stand back up again. So ideally you're doing this on a stable wall, arms above your head, leading with your fingers, pushing off the wall, and then standing back up again. Now when you're measuring this at first, you want to do this at about arm's length away from the wall, but as you get a bit more confident, you can start moving just a little bit further away from the wall so that you bend a little bit further back. So the next drill on from this is that when you bend back and hands to the wall, we're going to try to walk our way down. When you first start this, I want you to start the same distance you just did, and then it should be too close for you to walk all the way down to begin with, but then slowly walk your feet out before you go, and then you should be able to walk down into bridge. So ideally, back bend, walking down into bridge. Another thing you can do is start with your bridge with your hands close to the wall, and you can try and walk up. So walking up is going to help you build your support strength a little bit more as well. The next drill we're going to do now is a back bend onto an elevated surface. You guys have to be careful what you pick to use as your surface. Ideally, the height that you use to begin with is going to be just a little bit lower than the height of your first hand placement against the wall. And make sure you pick something that's soft and doesn't have any sharp corners when you are back bending onto it. So for the back bend, starting with your arms above your head, exact same action as before when you're reaching for the wall, but now you're going to try back bend, get your hands all the way onto the surface. Doesn't matter if you don't stand up from here for now. Some feedback for you guys to know whether you're ready to gradually decrease the height of your surface is when you do go for your back bend, if you find that you're able to put your hands down gently without you hitting the surface hard, it means that you're almost ready to move on to something slightly lower. Another thing you guys can do is do your back bend but from your knees. This will actually require a bit more flexibility to be able to get your hands on the floor, but if you find that you're struggling with a little bit of fear of going backwards, this actually might help you a little bit because you can control your bend a little bit more with your legs, and it's also going to make you put your hips a little bit more forward as you go. So you can either do it here like this on the floor, or you can do any of the drills we've just done from your knees as well. Another drill you guys can do is starting in like a modified crab walk position. Turn your hand before you go, and that's going to be your supporting hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to lift your hips up, put your arm over your head, and looking into finishing that bridge position. Now practice this one both sides. It's not the exact action that you'll do for your back bend because you're a little bit to the side, but it can be useful for you to get the feeling of going from a vertical position to inverting upside down. So we're now going to focus on the kickover part, which is the second half of your back walkover. In order to get your kickover from your bridge, you're aiming to swing your first leg and get rotation by aiming to get those toes over your head or to the floor, and at the same time pushing from your support leg, lifting your hips over your hands while keeping your shoulders over your hands as well. Common errors that we see when people go for their kickover are that people close their shoulders or drop their hips, and if you do this, it doesn't matter how hard you swing that leg, you're not going to get over your hands. So again, trying to lift your hips up and make sure you're squeezing and trying to keep your shoulders over your hands. Ideally, the better bridge you have, the easier this is going to be. So the first drill we're going to do for kickover is a tip-top drill. When you do this, you're going to need a raised surface. Make sure that the surface is sturdy so it's not going to move if you push it, and that there's no sharp corners or anything that you can hurt yourself on as well. Okay, so when you do go for this, it's going to be like a kick to split handstand. Same as when we do our back walkover, you don't want to feel like you're falling over. So it's not a handstand flat back. You're going to keep your weight on your hands for as long as possible, and you're just bending to get your leg over onto that surface. So start at about 2 feet distance away from the surface, landing either 1 foot or 2 foot, up to you. And then once you are there, can we go one more time? Once you are there, focusing on the kick over, which is going to help you for the back walkover. You can move your feet closer so you're in a comfortable position, and then you're going to swing your swing leg and push from your supporting leg, getting over. So if you're not quite ready to do this tick-tock or kick-over drill, you can still use the raised surface and just do the swing leg action and lift your hips up at the same time without actually coming off the surface. So if you can just show that one first, Tori. So into your bridge with your feet raised, and then from here you're just going to swing your leg up and then push hips up but not actually come off and then come back down. So you can practice this 5 times at a time. Now we'll also show you some other ways that you can get into this position as well. Another option that you guys can try if you don't have an appropriate elevated surface is if you have a hill nearby. What you can do is you put your feet on the higher side, and that's going to mimic your elevated surface, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to kick over for your, from your bridge. So we're going to try our kick over from the floor now. So when you are in your bridge, you push up into your bridge, and what you can do is you step a little bit closer with your pushing leg so you get a stronger push. And then you're going to swing your leg up and over, try finish that walkover. Again, trying to keep your shoulders open and lifting your hips up. Now, in case you don't make it over, make sure that when you do kick your leg, that you keep your legs apart so that if you don't get over, you're ready to land on that supporting leg again in bridge position, and keeping your arms straight as well for that as well. So if you find that you're close to getting over, but you're just not quite getting there, some little tips that you can do that might help you is when you do swing your leg, you can try to your kick over with a bent first knee. So when you are kicking, you're trying to bring your knee over your head, not your toes now. And that's going to bring your arc a little bit lower so you don't quite need as much power to get over. Another option you can do is your kick over with arms just a little bit wider. Same thing, your arc's going to be a little bit lower, but you need to be extra careful for this one that your arms don't slip out. So we've worked on our back bend and the kick over. We're now going to stitch the two together for our full back walkover. So as our example, starting for the walkover, we're going to have one leg raised, and then from this position you do your back bend, and in one action you're going to go straight into your kick over, finish the back walkover. So first drill we're going to do is we're going to combine our back bend and the kick over part. So you're going to do back bend, you can have your feet, both feet on the floor like we did before. Doing your back bend, once you're here, taking one step in with your pushing leg and then connecting the kick over from there. So the next drill we're going to do now is the same thing, but we're going to add a hop immediately as your hands hit the floor. So you do your back bend, 2 feet again, and as your hands hit the floor for the back bend bit, pushing out of your legs, shifting your weight onto your hands, just getting ready to connect the two together. So as you saw before, for the full back walkover, your back bend is going to happen with one leg raised up in the air. So what you can do to gradually move to having one leg up in the air is just like you do your back bend with 2 feet, you're going to slowly move your swinging leg a little bit in front, so that each time you move it, you're putting a little bit more weight onto your supporting leg or your pushing leg. And eventually you're going to have your one leg in front, doing your walkover like this, and then, or your back bend like this. And then what you can do is to simulate the raised foot is you can start doing the walkover with your foot on the raised surface, just like the bed that you used before, and trying your back bend from here. So you still can get a little bit of support from that raised foot. So some other things you can do to transition towards doing your full walkover is working on your active flexibility, which is going to help you kick that leg over easier when you start doing your full back walkover. So what you can do is you can train your splits like we've explained how to do in our flexibility video, but also some training for your active flexibility is having your foot already raised, and then in the position you're going to be in later when you do your back walkover is doing leg raises here. And what you're going to do, so you're not swinging your leg now, you're using your muscles to lift that leg up and simulate the right position as you're going, and you can do this 15 raises at a time. So as you keep working, you'll find that your back bend will get better and that you'll land in a better position to push to finish your kick over. So you'll also find that when you do get that smooth back bend, that you'll be able to almost use the momentum from your back bend to help lift your leg up over for that kick over. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Make sure that you're being extra safe when you're trying these skills, as we are going upside down and almost flipping now.
Bend safely.